And we are live.
Hey.
So we're here for Guild of Con, and this is the panel of complete series. So if you can guess, each of these authors has completed a series.
Which is like super rare, right? Like
it really is, yeah. It's getting slightly less rare now, but it's a pretty mean feat because we could just go on forever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, I'm going to go through a few things, housekeeping rules, and then we'll go through and introduce everyone, and you can talk a little bit about yourselves and everything. So, housekeeping, we are using StreamYards. There is a link in the description on Facebook. If you click that, it will grant Facebook permissions, and it will redirect you right back to Facebook, and then your name will show up in our chat. Otherwise, you will just show up as a Facebook user. And right down below is Geneva's PSA about that. And we also have on the website has all of the panels, everything that's going on for the next 5 days, since this is day 1. And we also, anything that's purchased on the store, and there is a donation button there is a charity for Heart on Heart International, which goes to relief funds in the Ukraine. And with that, we're going to get started. And I'm just going to start right to that side. We're going to start with each author is going to introduce themselves, talk about which series is your completed series, and if you want to list any of the other series you have going on. Try to keep it short-winded. We do have
hey, we completed series. We can finish things.
All right, we're going to start with Jacob Tanner.
Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Jacob Tanner. I've actually completed 2 series. So my first completed series was Arcane Kingdom Online, which I have here. And my second completed series was Tower Climber. And now I've started a new series called Second Chance Swordsman. And I plan on completing that as well.
Would you call yourself a completionist? Is that the vibes that I'm picking up right now?
Yeah. I'd like to write a meta series called The Completionist Chronicles, but someone's already taken that title.
I think you're gonna have great luck doing that. I see no problems in your future.
Completing series is very important to me, and that's why I'm happy to be here and talking with other people who've done the same. So, yeah.
All right, on to Daniel Shinhofen.
Let's see. You might have heard of me. You might not have. I tend to go more towards the more adult lewd side of lit RPG. So don't be surprised if you don't know me. Completed series though: Last Horizons, Alpha World, Apocalypse Gates, and soon to be Dungeon Walkers. So I have completed many things.
Overachiever.
Well, some of us have to be.
Good work, Daniel.
If you're only expecting to go so long, you might as well just keep finishing.
Very on brand, sir. Very on brand.
Perfect.
SL roll. Yeah. The name panel went away, so I couldn't remember what the last name was for a moment.
Yeah, so I am Steven. I go by SL Roland. My completed series is Pangea Online, but I'm also beautiful hardbacks.
Nifty, man.
I'm also the author of Sinister Troll, and then right now I'm working on my first cozy fantasy.
Very cool.
Katie?
Me? Okay. So my name's Katie. I know, like KT Hannah, but it's actually Katie because I'm kind of lazy. I have one completed lit RPG series. I have a completed sci-fi series, and SAAU, System Apocalypse Australia, is in a 3-arc kind of soft completion right now while I wait to see what I'm going to write next on it. So my first series was Somnia Online, has 7 books. It was supposed to be 4, so it's really great that it actually got completed at 7. So it wasn't supposed to be 7 books. But it is an online, it's a virtual reality one. But I do mix the the virtual reality is a little more important than just virtual reality. So there are consequences. I know a lot of people are like, oh, VR sucks, but I love it. So, and I have another series that will be completed next year called Last Chance. It's a trilogy. And I have, so I have the SAAU books, which have books 1 to 3 out. And that's a soft ending. Like you can read those 3 books and you're not going to be sitting there going, oh my God, what happens next? There's stuff that could happen, but there's nothing that we're in the middle of. And Somnia Online is complete. I have a couple of side stories in the wings for that. And then I have the Domino Project, which is a science fiction series.
And also happy birthday to Katie.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm old.
Joining us today and honoring us.
I'm like the grandmother of the group, I guess.
You're not
I'm old.
You're
I look younger than I am. Trust me.
Tao?
Hi, I'm Tao Wong. I have a number of completed series. I guess you could call it 3. Is The Gamer's Wish, Hidden Wishes series. There is The Adventures of Brad, which is a young adult fantasy series. And then there's a System Apocalypse, which I guess most people know me by, which is 12 books long and is finished and has a bunch of co-authors writing in it now, along with an anthology, because I am holding off on writing in it because it's a lot. I think those are all the major series that I have completed. I also have a bunch of kind of mini standalone series, Eternal Night, which is a vampire lit RPG, which are all written as almost standalone. So it's as complete as it ever gets at any one point until I decide to add something else. And currently I'm working on 1,000 Li, which is my Cultivation Xianxia series, and a bunch of other quiet projects that will come out next year.
James?
Hey everybody, I'm James Hunter. I write books. I also run Shadow Alley Press with my wife. I have a couple completed series. I have lots of open series still, but eventually they will be complete. I like Jacob Tanner, am aiming for that completionist title. So I finished 2 this year. Rogue Dungeon is sort of dungeon core, transported to another world series. I completed 6 books. It's lots of fun. There's lots of shenanigans. The main antagonist is Poner Boner 69. So if that hits your humor, this book is for you. And then I also completed this series, Viridian Gate Online, which is probably the one that I'm best known for. It is 8 books long. I may at some point visit that world again, but the actual main story arc, Jack's story arc, has been concluded. I'm working on a lot of projects. My current standalone thing that I'm working on, I just had a new book come out, Vigil's Justice. And book 2 comes out in just a couple of weeks, and book 3 will be out very early next year. So just kind of grinding and putting those words down, hoping to get all those series finished.
Well, thank you guys for introducing yourselves. So to everyone in the chat, if you want to ask questions, please post them. We will get to as many questions as we can. I know that it can get, all of a sudden we can get long-winded, and next thing you know, you have 10 minutes left. So with the first question, let's go with, how did you decide? So Katie kind of touched on this when she was just like, well, it was originally 4 books, but then Somnia ended up to be 7. So how did you know how many books that you were going to write in a series, and then did it actually end up ending where you wanted it to or not? I'm just going to go right back into the same order with going to Jacob first.
Yeah. I guess I sort of have an example of both. So with Arcane Kingdom Online, that was my first book series. And so I wrote it, and the answer being, I was sort of going to see where it went. And then when book 1 did so well, I kind of thought, okay, I guess I'll just write this forever now. But then, your skills as an author, it's hard sustaining a series for so long. And you see that with TV series that, normally the quality begins to sort of dip a little bit. So I sort of fumbled my way. I sort of always knew where I wanted to end up, but I was less, rigid with how long it was going to be. But with Tower Climber, I sort of said, no, it's going to be a 5-book series. Whether it does amazingly or doesn't do as well, this is the path we're going on. And I kind of like that. I like, it's sort of hard. It's hard ending a series, but, it's good to have a destination you're working towards.
Yeah.
And
Daniel?
No, I never have an idea of how many books are going to be in a series. Being a discovery writer means that I get to find out as the story goes along. I have an end point I always want to reach, but knowing how many books it's going to take is beyond me, since I'm not a rigid plot outline writer. I mean, Alpha World originally I thought, oh, it might be 3 books, then 5, then I finished it at 8. In some series like Dungeon Walkers, which I'm closing out with book 4, which will be published early next year, that's going to curtail the series much sooner than I hoped it would. So, but I still have an exit for it that will work and give some closure to the series, so it's not just a series hanging in the wind like others sometimes do, which as a reader also I find highly annoying. So I will always try to at least finish a series, even if it's not exactly where I would like to.
Okay. Steven?
I think I'm kind of similar to what Jacob said with like my first series. I just started writing it, not kind of knowing where it was going to go. Like the first book was kind of a completed story in itself. And then book 2 kind of expanded on that. And then like a lot of lit RPG authors, I kind of got sidetracked and started working on a new project. And before I knew it, I was 3 books deep into that one. And the first one had kind of like quit selling by that point. I mean, it sold a little bit, but not like every book you release, kind of pumps up the series. And if you don't release it, or if people don't kind of know that it's over, they'll quit kind of jumping on. And so I decided I would just go back and wrap up that first one, at least, so it would have kind of an ending point. And then if I wanted to write more in that world, I could do that in the future. But after that, I kind of decided every book I write, I'll have an end point in mind, so that I have kind of at least know where I'm going with it.
Okay. Katie?
So I used to plot books when my sci-fi series. I plotted that, and it was like, rigidly plotted. The what, the how. You can never plot the how because the character's just like, fuck you. I can swear, right?
Yes.
Good, thanks. The characters were like, fuck you.
Too
mate.
late
Like,
for that, Katie.
Yeah,
You're
I know,
already
right?
elbow deep in it.
That's not how this shit goes down, right?
Mom.
So then yeah, seriously, my kid's like, mom, language. So then I ripped through like probably a dozen lit RPG books in about 9 days. When my husband was like, no, you've got to read this, you've got to read this, you've got to read this. And it finally happened. I read it, and then I didn't stop. And I just kept reading, and I went, oh my God, I've got to write this. And I pantsed. Now, that's probably why Somnia ended up being 7 books and not 4, because I had the end goal in mind. I always have the end goal in mind. And then I start the book, and I kind of had the end in mind there too. But then the characters kind of came along and went, no. And so it ended up 7 books. And seriously, writing the 6th and 7th book I had like 12 different plot lines, and I had to try and bring them all together. And keep in mind, it wasn't plotted. So it was just all in my head. And I kept having to like write notes down and go, okay, I think I've got all the plot lines. And then my beta reader would go like, Katie, you missed like A, B, and C. I'm like, fuck. Like, so I'm really happy that people seem to really like the last book and think it tied it up, because I was really scared. But that's how that happened. And then with SAAU, Tao is amazing because he writes in like 3-book little arcs. So I was like, well, let's give that a go. So that's how I got a 3-book arc of the first 3 books of that. So it's got a nice soft ending, so you can read them without being worried. So yeah, I just fly by the seat of my pants now and hope for the best.
So you can do a 3-book series if there's somebody strong with a whip behind you like Tao to keep you
exactly.
on task.
Yes, have to keep me on task.
Okay, let me just
fucking
preface
shout
this.
commands, man.
We can swear, but this is not the naughty panel.
I'm sorry. I'm in the wrong place. Man.
Hey.
I'll go.
I know.
Whip cracking isn't whip cracking. Whip cracking
not
isn't
sung happy
necessarily
birthday yet.
naughty all the time.
Not touching any of those with a 10-foot pole.
So you could, but we're going
I'm
to go
not
to you
even going to
anyways.
the 10-foot pole. I'm done. I'm good.
I think we broke Katie.
Yeah, you can
I'll
move
be
on now.
really quick. I am a little bit of a variation with everyone here. I generally have an idea about where I'm going with a series, though it depends on type of series. Like Adventures Abroad was very much a slice of life kind of series. So while I did know that there was going to be an end, I wasn't sure how many books it was. Whereas System Apocalypse, I knew the end and I actually plotted it out early on and went, oh, it's going to be 9 books long. And then I got about book 5 in and I went, this is not going to happen. Nope. And so it ended up being 12 books because of that. But there's always for me an ending in mind. Generally, it's an ending specific to the main character because for me, I write about the characters. The worlds are fun to build, but the characters are important. It's their story and what happens to them.
Yeah.
So that's the way I do it. It does to just answer someone's question. For me, it does depend a little on financial. I mean, I plot things out based off 1 book, 3 book, 6 book arcs, so that there is always a soft ending at the end of those arcs, so that if I need to, I can just stop and people are mostly satisfied. The financials of it isn't there, unfortunately. It's partly business here too, unfortunately.
So I like Tao, I fall very much into that camp. I am a super prolific outliner, so I plot super heavily before I start writing a book, so I kind of know all of the beats of what's going to be in my story. I don't have a really strong series outline, but I do have kind of a blueprint. Like Tao and most of the authors in Shadow Alley, we run in 3-book arcs for the very same reasons that Tao said. So generally, a 3-book series is nice to market. You can kind of say, hey, this is a nice little complete package, and then you can market it as a complete done thing. And if it continues to sell well, you have a little open hook at the end of book 3 and you can go into the next arc. And if it doesn't really sell well, again, you have this nice little complete thing. So Rogue Dungeon ended up being 6 books, which is 2 3-book arcs, which is kind of what I planned. Viridian Gate Online was originally planned as a 6-book series. I knew the ending of that series like from book 1. But like Tao, the bigness of the story, especially when you're dealing with epic fantasy and interconnected story arcs, it ends up growing a little bit past maybe what you project it will do. And so in order to sufficiently tie up all of those plot threads, oftentimes it ends up just going longer than you think that it will, which is why it stopped at 8 instead of 6. But initially it was 6. With this new series that I'm doing, the Visual Bound series, it's a little bit more episodic. I'm trying something different. All of my stories before have been sort of big meta arcs. Vigil's Justice, Vigil's Valor, which is the next one. They're almost written like urban fantasy novels where they're very standalone sort of monster of the week type books, which has made them faster and easier to write because I don't have as many interconnected plot lines. And I think that will allow me to kind of like drop the series when people are tired of reading it or when I'm tired of writing it, because there's not really a giant through line between all of the books. The plan for that one, though, is 5 books, and then I'll kind of be done.
No, he does not.
I get distracted by the comments that are popping up right now, too. I think Jez and England had a whole nother conversation while we were having one. So... Going into some questions. So upon finishing a book, how many backups do you make in case of life, especially in the last in the series? I think that's also was
like backups, like saving files.
I think that's what they mean. I wasn't 100% certain in this question.
Because in that case, you save all the time in all the spots you can possibly save. every 2 minutes. I lost like 80 pages of edits once because my Word wasn't backing up. So
I concur.
Or
So
Cloud.
there was a clarification. The plan versus how it actually happens.
Oh.
Oh, the plan. Oh, I see. Yeah, I think it's hearing everyone else talk. They seem like they're better at like being more compromising and flexible. Whereas with my second series, I sort of went, it was 5 books. It's time. That's the plan. Everyone's doing as they're told. Dictator to all my characters. Yeah, I think that's good. I can see with my Second Chance Swordsman series, which I'm trying to set like each book as being a year. And I originally
Good luck.
but it's a school
Sorry.
year. And so now I'm realizing, oh shit, there's these summer months that are now screwing up my plan. And so there's a possibility that it might be a book longer or 2. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try and take some Tao and James energy and Daniel energy and KT energy and Steven energy and be a bit more chill, just go with the flow,
I feel like you did not listen to me at all. I am not chill. I am so anally retentive, and I want to try to make sure I stick to the plan as much as humanly possible.
Did you not hear that it was?
Take my manic energy and funnel that to control your output into a nice finished product, Jacob.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't want my energy. You'll end up with 3 or 4 more books. You don't want that, okay?
Okay.
Take my energy.
All right. Well, then we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna,
Does anyone else have anything on the plan piece, or do you want me to move on
Wait.
to another question?
We're supposed to have a plan?
Yeah.
Exactly.
My plan is to release a certain amount of books a year, and it rarely happens. So then I just have to rehash the plan and say, oh, well, I really only meant to release that many books last year. So that's my plan, is to go back to past Katie and punch her in the face.
Okay.
So many times I wish I could go back and punch past me in the face. Like,
Right.
my own worst enemy, constantly making my life difficult.
What about when you're like writing and you're like type, and you put like brackets, insert blah, blah here. And then you're going back and editing it going, oh my God, what were you doing?
Nope,
Yeah.
never.
No,
Don't
never.
ever
I am
do
a
that.
linear writer from beginning to end. I never skip a scene. Again,
Oh, I don't skip scenes.
Just
It's names. It's like
Nope.
names or spell names. I'm like, I'll go back and get that later.
See, the worst part about that is when you hit a research point, and then you either have to decide that you want to go and do the research now, and you lose 2 hours of your day, or you do it later, and then you lose 6 hours of your day because then you're not on time pressure and writing anymore.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So, there was a question that was highlighted. I believe it was Jay Boyce. Have you ever wanted to go back and rewrite parts of your finished series to have a new ending, or just because when you did your first few books and now versus where you are as a writer, what progress you've made in your own self-improvement?
One,
So-
yes. Heinlein's five rules of being a successful publisher: don't rewrite unless you have to, because you'll never write new stuff. You'll just always be rewriting.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, not to brag, but if I did one thing well, I think I stick endings well. I think that's like I mess up a lot of things, but I have a pretty good knack for how to end a story in a way that is satisfying for readers. So thinking on both the individual books that I finished and the series I finished, I don't think I'd want to rewrite an ending. There are parts of my books that I'm like, oh man, that was really rookie. Like I'll go back and I'll look at them and I'll read them. I'll be like, man, that was kind of a rookie mistake. I could have written that better. But I agree with Tao that for the most part, going back and rewriting is just a unending path to absolute madness and chaos. And
Yeah.
You shouldn't do it. I will put one caveat on that. If you have a really good selling series, and your book one, for whatever reason, you notice that the conversion rate is lower than you want it to be, and you think that there's something that you can fix in a book one that might up your conversion rate by 10 or 15 or 20%, maybe making a small edit on a book 1 would be worth it if it's going to increase your conversion between book 1 and 2, by 10 or 15%, because that's going to give you an increased series value overall. But again, you're dancing with the chaos demon, so just tread carefully there.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm the only author who doesn't do this, but once I've published that book, I never go back and reread it. I can't. I literally find myself skimming or just going, don't care. The worst thing is, though, that I also forget what I've written. So I will have people go, oh my God, I loved how you did this and that. And I'm like, yeah, that was great. Yeah. So I've got a series that only has 2 books out. It didn't sell as well as I wanted it to, but I still love it. And it's got 1 more book in the series, and I'll write it probably next year and publish it. So I have a 3. But I had somebody come and tell me that book 2 had these amazing twists and how fantastic, and they couldn't wait for 3. Was I aiming for A, B, or C? And I was like, oh, well, I can't spoil that for you because I have no idea what I wrote. So I literally actually have to go back and reread those 2 books before I can write the 3rd one. So
I'm actually the opposite of you.
I do not go back and change books.
I go back
Oh God.
and read the last book of every series before I write the next book in that series. So I am refreshed on every single thing that I did. All the plot points are in my head.
Wow.
I don't rewrite them. I read them. So I can then write the next book.
That's amazing.
It takes a day. So it's 1 day of me not writing normally, which is a trade-off for me actually refreshing myself with character tone and everything else. Because I'm writing 4 series in a rotation.
Yeah.
So I have to refresh myself before I write the next book in that
I
series.
can see that.
So
If I was as prolific as you, I might too.
Do it all at once at the same time. It never goes wrong. You never switch names of main characters. Not at all.
Never, no.
Yeah, balancing multi-series is really, really challenging for that reason. But I commend you for rereading those books.
That's amazing.
Katie, when I get done with a book, there's no book on the planet that I hate more than the one that I just finished. And I don't ever want to see it again or talk about it again or think about it. When I have to go on panels and talk about my books, I'm like, I don't know. I just blacked out that whole period of my life so I don't have to think about it.
To be fair, that's normally 6 to 8 months between it was published last and I have to read it to write the next one. So,
but that's why you have editors.
It's okay.
Well,
my editors suffer all the time. I don't mind.
Steven, did you have anything to?
I think especially with my Pangea Online series, that was my first one of my first books I'd ever written. So I go back and I see that, and I cringe a lot at the things. But also all my books are out in audio, so I feel like going back and changing anything at that point is gonna keep them out of sync. Especially people who do Whisper Sync or they read along and listen at the same time. And then they're getting completely new paragraphs that don't match up. I wouldn't want that to happen. So I just, leave it be. And that was also part of the reason why I wrapped that series up at 3 books, because my writing had gotten a lot better after 8 books, that I couldn't see that series just continually going on when that first book is everyone's introduction to it.
Yeah.
Okay. I was open on the wrong chat and I saw our private chat. Okay, so let's find oh, there we go. Are there any funny?
I didn't get to answer the question.
Oh, sorry, Jacob. My bad. You didn't yell at me.
I forgot it.
You forgot about it too.
It was Jay asked it. Jay Boys asked it. And
it was about.
It was if you wanted to change stuff.
Rewrite.
Oh
yeah. The rewriting.
Would you like a second chance, if you will, to redo some of these books?
Yeah, exactly. I'm with everyone else that once it's done, it seems like an emotionally and pragmatically bad thing to do, to go back and start tinkering with it. And it's just, you got to accept that you're going to improve as you go and move forward. But yeah, definitely I've seen things where I've improved and I'd like to go back. And that's why I think completing series is so important, that almost you complete a series and you go to the next book. It's almost like a new game plus mode. So
Level up.
exactly. Each time you finish a series, you're bringing all of that knowledge and everything with you to the next series, and then hopefully you get better at ending your series and stuff as well. So as you write a book, I've written 13 books now. Maybe I'm getting better at writing individual books, but I've only done 2 endings for a series. So yeah, that's my answer to that question. We can move on to the next one. Thank you, everybody.
I appreciate you keeping the moderator in check.
Yeah, sorry. No book doesn't come against me. You're
And
the
it
best.
we also get very busy with 6 people here. And it just can get a little crazy. Never. So what are some funny have you found any inconsistencies in your completed series that that your readers hadn't found? Like, did you find any plot holes that you just didn't? Or I mean, I feel like the readers would point that out to you, right?
Yeah, I think the readers are better.
It's more likely that they'll point it out to me than I will notice it.
Yeah.
Although I will say,
I often
say about this because readers do point it out, but readers are also amazing advocates for authors. And I can't tell you the number of readers who think that I am way smarter than I am. And so there'll be a plot hole or something that's just like a legitimate plot hole, and someone will bring it up, and then one of my readers will go to bat for me. They're throwing down, and they're like, no, maybe it's this thing. And did you ever think about this thing? And maybe he's leaving that plot hole because really he's going to bring it back in a new series when he opens it up. So it's not a plot hole. And I'm like, yeah,
yeah, that's why it's there.
Person said. So like, I love readers so much because they are so willing to give authors the benefit of the doubt and think that we are smarter than we are when legitimately we just make a lot of mistakes. I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any? We don't have to go all round robin if you don't want to.
I mean, plot holes? No, but from the time I first started writing 6 years ago to now, I have found that spreadsheets are my friend to keep names correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there
Appearances.
are a couple of series where I named somebody and didn't have the mind to mark it down at the time, and then named them something else. 2 books later, when they came back, and yeah, that exists. I mean, I could go back and fix the book, but I don't. So,
but then you have a reader come out in your defense is like, well, actually, they went through a really traumatic event, so it was like a rebirth, and they had to rename themselves. So that's what the name swap is, and you're just like, no, I didn't put it in my spreadsheet, but thank you.
I didn't have spreadsheets at the time, and now I do. So I'm really sorry about previous me. Like James, some days I'd like to go back and punch old B in the face.
And Tao.
Yes.
I think Tao was saying something. Oh, okay. Oh. I thought Tao was trying to.
Oh no, I thought you meant punching past you in the face.
No, I wasn't saying. What?
No, you were good. You tried
Jen
to
would love to punch past me.
No, past me in the face. Yes.
Okay. I thought Tao had
there's a whole
comment.
other conversation that I'm not allowed to respond to happening in the chat, and I feel really trapped.
It's a plot hole, people. It's a whole plot hole. Just fall right down into it. That's where we go with those holes. I thought Tao had something else to say about this.
Not really.
Okay. Jacob or Katie?
In terms of consistencies,
the plot hole. I mean, you guys kind of.
I don't know. Everybody, people come to me, and then sometimes I have to think about it, and then I don't know. I try not to have these things.
I don't remember enough of the story to be able to comment on it.
And Steven,
half the time, for me, it's a question of was that a plot hole, or can you give me the quote of where exactly, and then I can look at it and go, oh, I remember that now. This is why, and this is not a plot hole. So yeah, that's 12 books long, 1.2 million words. I'm not going to remember every bit of it. Sorry.
Yeah. Are you serial killering yourself, or?
Well, I can't. I don't want to interrupt my other fellow wonderful panelists as I'm being in this comment smear campaign. I can only.
They are out for you.
Jacob is not a serial killer. He is the hoarder of amazing artists. Is what Jacob is.
Okay.
Yes,
Jacob, have you killed more than one character in your book?
Ooh, I think I only killed one in Arcane Kingdom Online, and I didn't like it. and I almost killed someone in Tower Climber, and all my beta readers were like, nope, nope. And actually, the beta reader, I was like, you're right. And
That's the fun of it.
He might not be a serial killer, guys.
So
You've got to like build up the character so everybody loves them, and then you kill them. That's what you do.
And we found the serial killer. Right there, ladies and gentlemen. There she is.
Oh, what you're talking about, KT.
I might encourage her to go and do that too.
Yeah, Tal's like, oh, you've got to make that more impactful. Make them like her more in the beginning of the book.
Yeah, that's good.
I remember those conversations. It's like, oh yeah, you killed it.
It's really good.
Okay, so we've got a good question from Sharon. So what are your thoughts on omnibuses and publisher packs for your completed series? I know a couple of you guys have omnibuses out there for your series. I don't know if all of you do. But yeah, James?
I like
James
like it. There you go, James.
Katie, go for it.
Yeah, KT, I know you have
okay,
one too.
so I've got so Somnia has been finished for 2 years in about 3 weeks. And so I put out the first 3 books close to when I think the 7th dropped. And I only put out the second omnibus, so books 4 to 7, when I released the first SAAU book about a month in advance to kind of, because it was right near a release. I like them because it gives a chance for people to read the whole series. I still get money for it, which is great. And Andy has just started, we've just combined the first 3 books in audio as well. So now you can do like the omnibus in the ebooks and audio. So I love it. I think it's after a couple of years when your sales are starting to dry up, I feel like it's a good push.
I know. Yeah, sure. James.
Yeah, I just kind of to piggyback and reiterate what Katie said. I think that especially in the ebook side of things, like it doesn't make sense not to have bundle them as 3-book omnibus sets. If you have multiple books, because it's just like it's another revenue stream. And for an omnibus, you can generally charge higher. So we usually charge like $9.99 for 3 books. So it's still a discount to readers over buying them individually. But you still get a 70% royalty on a $9.99 book. So it's still a good upsell product. And when you're running ads, especially, those omnibuses are really easy to convert on ads. So it kind of is like leaving money on the table not to do it if you have books to bundle. So I am much more undecided about audiobook bundling. And a big part of that is because you can't really control the price point. And as a result of that, people are going to generally use a credit. And so if it's a credit versus a credit, there's no way they're going to spend that credit on book 1, book 2, book 3 when they can do it on a 3-book bundle. And so my question is, and I don't know the answer, but my question is, does it cannibalize your sales? And also because there's such good, in our experience, conversion rate read through on audiobooks, I'm always a little bit wary to bundle the audio because I think that it is cannibalizing my sales just because I know I have such good read through rates or listen through rates. So
I'm finding that I'm finding that it actually does cannibalize sales, but not to the same extent that it increases my total sales.
Okay.
So we can talk about numbers afterwards if you're curious. But yeah, it's for me, it's worth it. But I always let it run, right? I only did the omnibus for System Apocalypse books 1 to 3 after 4 or 5 years now. So it's been a while.
Yeah. We did. We only just did books 1 to 3 of Somnia Online, and the actual read-through rate from that to 4 is higher. Like it's actually like really pulling them through to 4, 5, 6, and 7. So, and we're not going to bundle 4 to 7 for a while because 1, 2, and 3 already had massive sales and they were starting to dry up. And when they dry up, the read-through dries up. So I found that with this one little omnibus, because I only have one so far, but I found that my 4, 5, 6, and 7 have jumped. So
yeah.
but
No,
I mean, we released it after 4
interesting.
years. Yeah, like it came out in 2018, beginning of 2018, mid 2018, and so we released the omnibus mid 2018.
That's the
Sorry,
audio,
mid
Katie?
this year. Don't worry. Yeah, for the audio. Yeah,
And
the audio really made those books jump.
And
So.
to answer Joshua's question real quick, yeah, it's definitely worth it to put up the ebook bundle, even if you're not doing an audiobook bundle, because again, they're two very different products. And the ebook, like, there's literally not a reason not to have it, just because it's not really going to cannibalize your sales. You're still going to make a good royalty since you're setting the price. You can even include it in KU if your other books are in KU, and then it literally is no difference whatsoever. But some people like having all 3 books in one place.
Steven, do you have? I don't know if you have omnibuses. Unfortunately,
yeah,
Two omnibuses.
I have 2
All right,
out.
there you go.
One thing I will say is that, like, for shorter books, the omnibus can make a huge difference. Like my Pangea books, they're like 7 to 8 hours, but then you put them in a 3-book bundle, that's like 27 hours for 1 credit.
Yeah.
And so, like, that one is one of my biggest sellers. I think that's part of the reason I got an Audible daily deal, was because of that.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially if you have a bunch of short books. We just experimented with Audible's help with a series of novellas, but all of the novellas are in the Audible Plus catalog, so they're free to people. But I think having those shorter novellas packaged into a single product make it a little bit more palatable to readers, because they don't want to go out and spend a credit on something that's like super short. So that does make sense.
Daniel, I know you have one.
What, Omnibus? Last Horizons? Yeah, it's just because those were the first 2 books I wrote, and really it's one combined story. And since it was 2 books, it felt better to put them up. As soon as the audio comes up, the audio rights come back around, and I get those back from Tantor, I'll be actually pulling down the 2 books from Amazon and just leaving up the one omnibus. So.
And Jacob.
Yeah, I've not done any box sets like everyone else here.
Okay.
But the main reason that I've been holding off is sort of similarly with Arcane Kingdom Online. I'd like to release the ebook box set along the audio box set, and Tantor has control over the AKO audio. So that's sort of why I've sort of been slow to approach that. But this panel is making me maybe change my mind. James is saying there's no reason not to. So maybe I need to step it up and, get my AKO box set.
Just for clarity, they're super good. Box sets are super good for if you're doing Amazon marketing or you're doing like Facebook ads. Like they have really, really, really good conversion rates, and they're easy to sell. I don't know why they're so much easier to sell than individual titles, but I think it's the reduced price or the perceived deal that readers are getting, and they are getting a deal, but it makes it way easier to sell. Good conversion rates on ads.
And so I'm sort of between what you're saying, James, but I also like what Tao's saying, like take your time, no rush. So it's just, you guys are just teaching me how to be more chill at this conference.
Totally wrong.
So someone did have a question about novellas, because especially with Lit RPG, readers want big, thick books. And I know a couple of you have novellas or even short stories or something like that. How do you feel about those in the Lit RPG genre? So feel free to chime in.
Does anyone have them out already?
I have one novella. It's Path to Villainy. It's about a NPC kobold. And
Path to Villainy.
Yeah, it's it had a nice little spike when it first came out, but it died off rather quickly because there's not much read through. It's not part of a series. It was a fun little like project to work on between books. But like as far as like paying the bills, I don't think I could do them regularly.
I
So-
have
Oh, sorry.
novelette.
Go ahead, Sal.
I have novelettes and I have very short stories, like 40 to 50K. They're not actual novellas. Novelettes are about 10K, 10 to 20K. And I'd say they're viable, but you would need to be releasing regularly, right? The thing about novellas is you want to be fast in your releases. So if you're writing a novella, you want something like a release every 2-3 weeks, every month minimum, to get that momentum going. That would be my assumption on how it would be best to do it. I haven't really, because for me, I bounce between series so much, I just can't do it that way at that speed. But the ones that I've written have been good. But again, a lot of them were released in 2017. So, that's a big difference between then and now.
So I will add in. We are experimenting with this. So Eden Hudson, my co-author on the Rogue Dungeon series, she and I are doing a series of novellas called Wasteland Warlords, post-apocalyptic, lit RPG, campy. It's going to be good. And we are writing. We're almost done with all 6, so it's almost 3 books worth of content. Each one's about 35,000 words, maybe 40,000 words. So they're not novels, but they're long novellas. Our goal is to have all 6 of them done. So we're working on number 4 now, and we hope to have all of them done by the end of the year. And then our goal is next year to drop all of them with about a 2 to 3 week interval in between releases. Mm-hmm. The one benefit that we have, and the thing that's prevented us from doing novellas before, is that we were talking about audiobooks. No one wants to spend a credit on something that's only 2.5, 3 hours long or whatever. But again, we were really fortunate that we were able to get all of these novellas turned into audiobooks that will be in the Audible Plus catalog. So people will be able to read the novellas or listen to the audio, and it's not going to cost them anything. So we're hoping that will make it more viable. It's a really, really fun, wonky, ridiculously crazy series. So I'm hoping that it'll kind of connect with the marketplace. So this is fingers crossed for a weird experiment. We're just kind of seeing what it's going to do, and I'll report back next year with more data on whether the novella project worked.
I don't write short enough. I talk too much. So yeah.
I'm with you, Katie. I mean, a novella is what, 10 to 20,000 words, right? So 3 to 7-ish chapters. I don't know how to make any kind of
6,
story
7,
fit in quite that tight a frame.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, I have a hard time with books. Okay, like my 120,000 to 180,000 word books, trying to condense things and find a spot.
Right?
So, no.
I have a standalone psychological horror one out, and it's like 60,000 words, and that's the shortest I could do because it was psychological horror.
So can someone just quickly give a definition of what the difference is between a novelette, a novella, and a novel for word count purposes?
Novelette 10 to 20K, novellas 20 to 40K. Anything above that is technically a novel. Epic fantasy novels are generally anywhere from 100 to whatever, however heavy you want to beat people with kind of levels. And Stuart Gross is probably the most successful novella writer. I don't know of anyone else who has done it on that.
But his output is ridiculous.
Yeah, he's got 17 or 18 books in the Loot Dungeons or
it's amazing
Dungeon series, right? So I mean, he's he made that his business model, and he's turning them out really fast. So I think that's part of it is, if you can do them fast enough, it gets you more visibility. This is author talk.
Fast, efficient,
well written. What I wonder is that there's a sense of completing something. You know what I mean? Have you ever, you're writing 120 words and you're at 70,000 words in the book, you're a bit the ending seems really far away.
Yeah.
Breaking out 20, 30, 40,000 word books, that being near the ending is going to give you that momentum. So on a quality of life level, maybe it's really nice. I don't know.
I think I would panic knowing that I only have 40,000 words to work with, and that's it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. How am I going to fit this in? Oh my god. It's too much. It's going to happen.
You should help be well, I'm done with Act 1. I guess.
Yeah.
I've gotten to Act .3, End of novella.
Okay, so I think so. As a note, we got about 10
Love
minutes
you,
left.
Jay.
So we've got 10 minutes left with this panel. I think we're going to do just a wrap up. Everyone will have a few minutes to say, probably maybe 2 minutes or so to say what your final thoughts are on with completed series and stuff like that. And then we will be, you can, if there's any questions that we didn't get to, there is a Discord. So you can go drop your questions into the Discord. The authors will be there after this and throughout the week, and they can answer any questions, have conversations with you, and continue on with this panel. I know that we could talk for more than just an hour. And so
Have you met me?
I think we've met you all right now here. I mean, we've hit 50 minutes. We definitely have talked. Just as a note to everyone, there is the schedule up on the website. It is litcon.net, and they have the schedule. We have takeovers coming up on the Facebook page, and then at 4 p.m. there is another panel happening. So again, thank you all for joining us. Drop your questions in the Discord, and I will give everyone the chance to say their final thoughts and reintroduce yourselves again for anyone who joined us, and anything else you would like to say. Gonna start with Jacob again.
Okay, well, so I'll reintroduce myself. I'm Jacob Tanner.
Sorry.
In a couple series, Tower Climber, Arcade Kingdom Online. They're both completed. I've really enjoyed this panel and chatting with everyone and learning lessons about how to be more chill. And it's great. I'm going to keep writing and trying to complete more series. And I'm looking forward to Dante's Immortality Book 2. The author's definitely alive. I've not killed him. I don't know what's happened to him. He's definitely alive and not in my basement. That is all I have to say.
Daniel?
I'm
Okay,
sorry,
that wasn't
I was so
sus.
distracted by the last 2 minutes that I totally forgot everything.
You're saying goodbye, and you're
hi.
just no.
Oh, go ahead.
We're final thoughts, and if you want to introduce yourself again, just to anyone who joined in the middle of this panel, this crazy panel.
People don't want to know me. It's fine. I
We
would
all
just
do
like to
wanna
say that I thought this panel was completely dominated by the person to my side. I mean, Steven was just a chatterbox. It was hard getting a word in with him. You guys should totally read. I think it was Steven. You're gonna have to help me out here.
Pangea Online.
Series.
Pangea
Pangea Online.
Online.
I'm trying to remember the other one.
Sentence to Troll.
Sentence the troll. I was like, troll the sentence, and I knew it was wrong. So I wanted the clarification before I butchered it completely. Steven's a great guy. He didn't talk to us much, and I'm sad about that. That's my final thoughts on this. However, overall, you can find me on Discord, Facebook,
Steven.
all of social media as normal. And all my books continue currently in the 4-book rotation that I write between, at the moment, Binding Words, Aether's Revival, Lux Voice, and Dungeon Walkers. Because if you're going to write all of them at once. Steven, please fill us in more.
Well, thanks for the shout out. So I had to keep my mic muted because my apartment building decided they wanted to come and pressure wash the windows and walls right during the panel. So that's why I kept disappearing from the screen. But so my final thoughts is, for any authors out there, I think you should always try to finish your series. So I think there's so many that don't get finished that readers really get burnt out on that. And once you finish one, that's kind of like a promise that for your readers that they know you'll finish the ones in the future. So for me, Pangea Online, that is a complete series available in Omnibus as well. And my Sinister Troll series is currently at 5 books. It'll probably wrap up around 7. I have the end in sight. But yeah, you can stop by my website, slroland.com, for anything else.
Katie?
So I'm Katie. This is my finished. Oh, sorry, stupid thing. There we go. This is my finished series, Somnia Online. It's available in Omnibus as well. This is my finished sci-fi series. I'm going to show it anyway. Ha ha ha. It's like X-Men meets what's that movie? Blade Runner. That's it. And then this is a series I co-wrote with Tao, set in the System Apocalypse universe. It's not an OP main character, okay? It's a mom with 2 kids. Get the fuck over it. So that's that book.
Oh my god, shots fired.
She brought out the mom voice.
I'm a mom, dude. So, you know, sometimes we just need something to know that moms are fucking awesome.
Who didn't say moms were OP?
Oh, dude, actually, one of the reviews we got this 3-star review that was like, what was it? Oh, this is just an ode to moms. And so we used it on Mother's Day as promo. And this is my other series that is not yet finished, but will be. So there you go. Hello. And finish your freaking series so I can read them and be done with them instead of having to wait and wait and wait. Please? Please? See, I said please. Okay. Thank you.
I'm Tao Wong. I write System Apocalypse. I've had a lot of fun with this panel that turned into more author talk than fan talk, which was fine. I'm happy to, as people know, I generally am happy to answer all the questions if they want to grab me. And I'll leave James to talk more time to talk more English. Long day.
It's okay, Tao. English is hard for everyone, even native English speakers.
Hey,
I'd say the same thing, but normally after a few shots.
And James.
I'm James Hunter, waving to y'all. Appreciate the time on the panel. If you want to find out about my books, you can find me on Amazon, obviously on Audible. You can check out Shadow Alley Press. Again, my 2 completed series that are awesome and you should read, Rogue Dungeon and Viridian Gate Online. If you're looking for something new and fun to read that you haven't read yet, you can check out Vigil's Justice. The book 2 will be out next month in just a couple of weeks here. In terms of finishing your series, it's like Jacob was saying earlier, it's really important that you practice all stages of writing. Openings are not the same as endings, and so you're never going to get good at it if you don't push yourself to do it. And so to level up as an author, it's really important that you just kind of grind it out and finish what you start. So it's hard, but if you have a plan going into it, it does make it a little bit easier.
Oh, you guys are all being so sweet. I love you too.
And if you guys haven't already done this, please go and wish KT Hana a happy birthday. And if you are looking for any of this information about these authors who have been on our panel or any of the other authors, there is an attending guests tab on the website, and it will link you to their Amazon page. So you will be able to go and check them out, get their books, get their omnibuses, whatever you'd like to help support them. They also, many of them probably have Facebook pages and everything else you can find. But thank you again for all joining us. Don't forget the Discord for additional questions. And I believe we are almost at time for the most part. So whenever we get cut off, thank you all.
Yay. Well, that was fun.
Thank you, Jen.
We are still live.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Oh,
we are still live.
We're not blind.